Good evening, YouTube. And today's video, or I should say this evening's video, is going to be a follow-up to the video I made about whether there was going to be some disclosure this week or not. And I was talking about how there was that guy, George Knapp, and the New York Times were racing to publish their stories. And that's transpired. Knapp had a nice, long, 3-hour chat with Joe Rogan, along with the filmmaker that made the Lazar movie and some other projects. And of course, I guess just today, the New York Times published their piece. And it pretty much says that, that the government has recovered material from crashed alien spacecraft. Okay, and I find this very exciting. I'm a little annoyed that it's not the world outside really doesn't seem to care, but that's not a problem. And the reason why I'm so interested in this topic is because it's personal for me. You see, both of my parents worked for the government during the Cold War in Washington, D.C. My mother's first job, was with the Office of Strategic Services, which later on became the CIA. And she worked there until about 1952 when she ran off with my father and started having babies. Okay, so let me put it this way. I'm not going to talk too much about what my mom did. She was just a secretary, nothing special. But I'd like to put something forward to you. Those memos that you guys are searching for, do you think the director of the CIA wrote his own memos? No. It was a secretary that wrote that memo. And secretaries talk. Okay? And we're going to leave it at that. Now, as for my father, using the GI Bill, got a job as an electrical engineer, and he went to work for the U.S. Army at a place called Night Vision Labs at Fort Belvoir. And while he was working there, he was exposed to a piece of foreign equipment, a foreign device that they wanted the lab to reverse engineer, which was a common occurrence, for foreign equipment like Russian equipment, Italian equipment, any type of like that. Okay, and there was this one particular device that he found very intriguing because it was obviously not built by any civilization, earthbound civilization that he was aware of, because the device wasn't an electronic device, it was a photonic device. Okay, and the results of that analysis caused that lab to abandon 20 years of work they had done developing Nazi technology, and then they went off in a completely different direction. So, yes, I want this to become public because I want my father to get the credit I think he deserves. He's passed on to the next world, but as his son, I want it to become public. Okay, it's not enough just to be whispered about at family reunions. I want the world to know. So that's why I'm following this thing. Now, that said, now I'm going to talk about an idea I have about this current situation. Now, what we know about the New York Times, other than that they're not going to let me see their article unless I pay them money, which I'm not, is that the Office of Naval Intelligence seems to be the office that has this custody of this material, which sounds kind of odd. Wouldn't it be the Air Force, you would think? But that kind of matches up with exactly what old Bob Lazar said some 30 years ago. He said his job was with the U.S. Department of Naval Intelligence. Although it looks like someone misspelled naval here. Naval. Anyway, so, and Bob says in a interview with Joe Rogan that he thinks some of the craft were recovered from an archaeological dig. Well, what I'm going to tell you right now is just speculation on my part. But I believe the reason why the Navy is running this program is because they're the ones that found the craft. How in the world did that happen? Well, in the 50s, the Navy started mapping the floor of our oceans because they needed it for our submarines. Now, I'm going to speculate that during the course of that mapping process, they found some anomalies in the seabed. Okay? And that they may have found, what I'll just spit it out, an ancient base, okay, that had been deserted, and that's where they got these craft from, okay, and that's why they're the only ones that can get to it. Air Force can't fly underwater, okay. Now, that's my idea, and I would like to see if it's correct, because I think it might be. And let me just end with this last little bit. I've been in touch with someone that used to be in the Navy, and he was involved in one of these incidents, okay? And he had the ability to track these craft when they came on a screen, but he also tracked them to where they disappeared. Now, how I met him is this before he started being interviewed by everybody. There was some YouTube video that recreated the incident. And it was very well. It was by just a regular Joe. It was very well done. And I had some comments in the video. And that's when he reached out to me because, you see, I wasn't interested in what was going on in the air with these things. I was interested with what was going on underneath the ocean because I knew that one of the attack submarines that was tasked with protecting the task force had sonar contact with the underwater craft. And I was trying to get information about that, and I was not successful because that's classified. But I was able to talk with him offline, and he pointed me in the direction of some areas in the seafloor off California that he thought that we should look at. Okay, now I didn't share with him the idea about how it was related to Lazar and his craft, but I did tell him that I thought there might be some sort of an underwater base, and he seemed to think that there was some credibility to that thought, that idea. It's just an idea, and so we discussed it, and he shared his thoughts with it with me. So that's about it for today's video. And hopefully, I'll be able to make another one of these videos in a couple of weeks when even more information comes out. We'll see. Anyway, enjoy your evening.